Hi there. I want to talk to all of you seriously in this. House of the Dragon Season 3 made the controversial decision to merge two major book characters, Rhaena and Nettles, the rider of Sheep Stealer in the book. I already made a video explaining this for a TV-only audience. It's a big change. I don't think that automatically makes it good or bad. And I honestly feel I can't judge it until I've seen all of Season 3. I can say that so far it hasn't really impressed me, and I would not have done this myself, but as much as I strongly disagree with this decision, I wouldn't outright disown Condal over it. This isn't a series-ruining decision. Because I can't unread a book I've read, though. It's hard for me to judge this because I'm constantly comparing it to the book in my head, so the real argument is whether it works for a TV-only audience. Even so, moving on from that, there's a separate argument that I want to address, but to give it the time and focus it deserves, I'm splitting it off here into its own standalone video. I have seen clickbaiters and internet trolls, not established fan channels, but randos in the comment sections and on Reddit, trying to get going like a meme, this straw man argument that merging Nettles and Rhaena is just as bad as merging Sansa Stark with Jeyne Poole in Game of Thrones. The whataboutism and straw man's, oh, well, this is just as bad as when they did that merger, and quote-unquote merging, because there was nothing to merge. They threw out all of Sansa's storyline and just shoved her into the Jeyne Poole storyline. And the media was too afraid to call out how ridiculous it was at the time. We will look back 20 years after and be surprised that they went on to win Emmy Awards for that. But this argument that this is just as bad as that merger, which has still left scars on the fandom that they don't even want to admit, that this is the same degree is bullshit on multiple points. Whether you agree or disagree with Rhaena Nettles' merger, you could hate this. I'm saying it's an offensive comparison no one should use that will ultimately undermine your own arguments. I made this video to articulate why it is a false comparison, why it's a straw man argument, so pay attention and arm yourself with these specific points if you're ever being harassed about it on social media, comments of a TikTok video, whatever. Please reuse the things I'm listing off now. First, well, actually, before I get going, some of you might have never heard the term straw man argument. It's actually pretty common. A straw man argument is a common term in professional debate. It's when someone distorts and exaggerates their opponent's position to misrepresent it and make it easier to attack. That you're attacking a weaker, fake version of the opposition. It's like attacking a scarecrow rather than a real person. Like fighting a man made of straw man argument. So something like, if you're criticizing, I think we need to demilitarize the police, someone can respond with the straw man argument, it's ridiculous that you want to disband the police and have society function on the honor system. And you're going to, no, I want police, I just think it's a mistake to give them surplus military-grade anti-tank weapons. Oh, well, then I guess you hate law and order on general principle. Back and forth, it's a straw man argument. You're making this fake misrepresentation that's easier to attack. My first counterpoint to the comparison that merging Rhaena Nettles is just as bad as merging Sansa and Jeyne Poole. One of the big straw man arguments that Benioff and Weiss's defenders tried to deflect everything with, deflect all this criticism, is you just don't like merging Sansa with Jeyne because you hate changes from the book on general principle. You hate merging characters on general principle was a major defense for something this offensive. That's all they had. Deflecting that the specific changes they actually made were ridiculous. This straw man defense didn't even address that many TV-only viewers with no knowledge of the books thought it made no sense and stopped watching. The plot mechanics make no sense. That Littlefinger had to be willfully stupid to bend the story for this predetermined set of events to fall into place. Roose Bolton had to be willfully stupid, not keeping track of Ramsay, when in the book he really yells at him for, "You're gonna stoke rebellion mistreating her publicly like this." In contrast, it will be interesting to see what TV-only audiences think of the Rhaena storyline, because it's not that kind of plot contrivance. It isn't that level of plot contrivance on the level of Littlefinger kinda forgot to do a basic background check. In isolation, merging Nettles and Rhaena doesn't involve plot contrivances and bad plot mechanics to a TV-only audience. Which ties into the second point. A major reason what they did to Sansa was so insultingly contrived and filled with plot holes is because it was a last-minute decision made during writing on Season 5 itself, with zero attempt at prior setup. Shoving Sansa into Jeyne Poole's role abandoned the story arc they already had Sansa on up and through Season 4, of her rising in power in the Vale, that bizarrely Season 4 ended with her in her Dark Sansa power gown, and then suddenly she was this crying victim again in Season 5. Even people with no knowledge of the books felt this does not feel like something you were setting up. We objectively know they weren't. Because after the season, we managed to get Writers Guild of America archived scripts that, in the Season 4 scripts, they were setting up Jeyne Poole. That in George R. R. Martin's copy of he wrote Episode 2 of Season 4, there are deleted scenes of Roose and Ramsay setting up that they're going to have the fake Arya Jeyne Poole. We've proven this. This is not a question. This was a last-minute change when Season 5 came around. This isn't something they were trying to seed back in Season 3, so this contributed to how there's so many plot holes and contrivances. It was officially a last-minute decision. In contrast, we all knew that there were hints, even in House of the Dragon Season 1, that they were going to merge Rhaena with Nettles. At first, the scene with her mother when she's talking about, "Your egg didn't hatch, but you'll have to find another one, you'll have to claim one like I claimed Vhagar." And then during the Season 1 finale, during the War Council, when they mentioned there are unclaimed dragons, the camera points at her. So there were multiple points in Season 1 where you could tell, and we were debating at the time, I think they're considering merging Nettles with Rhaena. And maybe it was in flux for a while, we're not really sure, but it wasn't a snap decision. We objectively know they were at least considering this 2 seasons ago, in the first season. Whereas the Sansa thing was so bad even for TV-only viewers because it was a last-minute decision. Third point. The underlying reason that Benioff and Weiss made this last-minute decision wasn't a good-faith argument for the needs of condensation and adaptation, or even for shock value. They did it to show off Sophie Turner, the actor, emoting heavily in a meaty assault and trauma situation. We know this because they openly say it in the DVD commentary. It's really the only thing they have to say about it at all. I remember vividly sitting there with a pen and notepad trying to take down notes. If I never had a chance to look at the DVD commentaries before, I assumed fan sites already had. They were really ignoring them. Other than cracking jokes and being crass, the only thing they really had to say about what is their ideology, what are they trying to do here, it's just them complimenting, "Oh my god, that actor's making such a great face," and then bluntly, "Come on, kid, we wanted Sophie to act the hell out of this assault scene." And bluntly saying, like, we changed Dorne because we wanted to show off, quote, "these performances, these faces," that all of this would have been wasted on a minor actor. And they use that stock phrase all the time, like a meme. If you're new to my channel here, that's the reason they ever did anything, was we're showing off these performances, these faces. Like they'll recite it during a Cersei scene of you want to show off her and the High Sparrow acting the hell out of a scene. They didn't do this for the good of the show. They didn't do it for the good of the show narrative, or for the good of HBO from a business standpoint of, well, HBO needs its Emmys. They did not do this for the good of Sophie Turner, the actor. In terms of motivations, Benioff and Weiss wanted to pad their resume with Emmy wins as they rushed the final season so they could jump ship and launch a movie career at Star Wars. At the time, few believed it. When after season 6, I was the voice in the wilderness saying, they're just showing off the actors, they are rushing the ending, they're just padding their resume with Emmys so they can run off, they don't care. Not many people believed me. Where are they now? The dead fan sites that shut down after this, like Watchers on the Wall, that just, after season 7, particularly after season 8, how many of you are now willing to say, I think they rushed through this really fast rather than a 10-season show or something, purely so they could run off and launch their movie career? That is generally accepted. Now, I'm just saying, if you think it's obvious in season 7 and 8, consider that this was extending back pretty much to the beginning of the show, but definitely 5 and 6. All the Sansa stuff, even the Dorne stuff, it exists to show off in GRRM, because they're playing favorites with the actors, and they say this in the DVD commentary. This is purely, we are showing off actors, we are doing it for Emmy bait, particularly the Sansa stuff. In contrast to that, merging Rhaena and Nettles isn't awards bait, because Rhaena isn't even one of the 3 to 7 core cast members that they submit for those kinds of things. That season 5 onward, Game of Thrones, this is by no coincidence, redefined their cast pay ranking into these tiers. It was tier A and then everyone else. Tier A were the highly paid 7 top people. It's the Stark siblings, the Lannister siblings, and Daenerys, basically. Not counting Bran. So it's Jon, Daenerys, Cersei, Jaime, Tyrion, Arya, Sansa. And it is no accident that from season 5 onward, storylines just started to bend to focus on only those 7 cast members, while others were dropped like a stone. Prominent, relatively secondary characters, because it's a big book series, but Theon Greyjoy's storyline, season 6 onward, it just meanders around into nothingness. Theon was not in the core 7. Brienne, even more so. Brienne of Tarth, Gwendolyn Christie, you have seen how much her character was marginalized. Season 5, season 6, or it's just she's lighting a candle, or she's just being an errand person for someone. She was ignored by the show. This should be obvious. Talk about this in the comments. Brienne wasn't one of the top 7 billed actors, so they didn't bother focusing on her anymore. Or other things like Davos, for example, just he's Stannis' right-hand man, let's shove him into Kit Harington's storyline, because Kit is one of this core 7. We actually have access to the cast ranking sheets by season for House of the Dragon, because someone took a photo of a cover for episode 4. So we figured it out for other seasons, for all 3 seasons of House of the Dragon. For season 3, Rhaena is ranked number 14. Rhaena is not one of the core 7 or top 10. She is ranked officially by pay grade at number 14 in the cast. If this was the same level as, this is just like merging Sansa with Jeyne Poole, which was to focus Emmy bait on the core cast members, if they were doing what Benioff and Weiss did, they would have merged Nettles with Arya. I don't come to that comparison lightly. I really thought if they were doing the same thing, it would have been having, Arya is a Targaryen bastard because she doesn't know who her parents are or something. Why would they do that? Because while Rhaena is number 14, by pay grade, Sonoya Mizuno, the Arya actress, is ranked number 9 within the top 10. Mizuno was already a pretty well-known movie actor and acted in a couple of other TV shows and things. So we can't say it's the same. You have to define what exactly was happening with the Sansa stuff, and a lot of people don't really look at behind the scenes what was going on, other than it was bad, it was offensive, where I can define this was a last-minute decision, you did it to pad your own resume. It's not just because we hate changes in general principle, but because what you're doing is deeply offensive with an assault storyline. The Rhaena Nettles merger does not have an offensive assault storyline. Was being set up since season 1, whether we agreed with it or not. It was a measured long-term decision. And the actual character they're doing it with ranks low enough that it could not possibly be for Emmy baiting. Those are the objective reasons, the 3 objective reasons why this is not directly comparable to, oh, it's like merging Sansa with Jeyne Poole. When we were complaining, specific things, it removes all of her agency, that she's not really acting like a character, all of that. And I'm saying, I might ultimately decide after watching all of season 3 that I really don't like this storyline and I can't defend it. Right now I'm just saying I'm on the fence. It has yet to impress me. You have to prove that it was worth it, given how much backlash it has. These are entirely different things, and I don't know if people actually believe that this is on the same level as Sansa-Jeyne Poole. Or, like I said in the last video, I think people are looking for clickbait to stir controversy. That they will try to compare this, oh, we need Benioff and Weiss back after season 2. Why are they saying that? To get a rise out of us. Or dismissing, oh, well, clearly this is no different from when they merged things. They did nothing wrong. Okay, we wised up to this. We know what you're trying to do with all of that. Rhaena taking on the role of how Nettles managed to claim a feral dragon requires no leaps in plot logic, and it's not for Emmy baiting. I will have to ultimately decide whether it was good or not. But beyond the Rhaena Nettles stuff, there will, on the scale of years, be a reckoning, maybe not this year, where eventually some news article breaks and looks up from the scale of 15 years, just like with Joss Whedon, where people went, retroactively 10 years ago, he did something he did in public was actually a really offensive thing, and we just downplayed it because he's a popular guy. We'll look back and go, it is insane that they were not ostracized after season 5 with the Sansa stuff. Because it is gibberish. It isn't empowering in season 6 either. It is filled with plot holes, and you blatantly did it to launch your own careers. I think that reckoning might come if and when Netflix drops them, that they're not really cranking out the big quality shows they promised almost 7 years ago at this point. There will come a point when they're not successful anymore, and there's blood in the water and the sharks come. And then things will happen slow until they happen fast. Of really explaining clearly to the general audience, this is what they did. There were behind the scenes reasons for this, that it is gibberish, and you can't reduce it to, I liked it, I didn't like it. No, structurally, we know it doesn't make sense for X, Y, and Z reasons, and we know that you did it behind the scenes for reasons 1, 2, 3. You wanted a movie career. You wanted to win Emmys. You were the new Emmy darling. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not that David Benioff was this evil mastermind. It's the media wanted this Emmy darling, the new hotshot toast of Hollywood that they could write puff pieces about, rather than do real journalism, real cinema critique, explaining this is why the Sansa assault makes no sense and is deeply offensive, and they're just working the system. That day may be a ways off, but it is coming.